Hello, people of Connecticut. I am Selena Rifkin. I am here with the excellent Jason Douglas.
Okay, I'm okay.
Hey, I get two. You said I could bring us in, so I'm doing it the way I want to do it. You be quiet.
All right, I'll be excellent. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Good answer. Good answer. We are here talking about the news of the day. And there's an assortment of interesting things that have happened, and we're gonna have fun talking about them. So I think, Jason, you wanted to go first.
Sure. I can lead off with a little bit of stuff. Just before we get to the news of the day, though. I want to follow up on those of you who are interested in what happened up in New Marlborough, Massachusetts. On January 7th, I was pulled over there for speeding up there, allegedly, by the way. And what I call the Roscoe Pico train trap up there, where they sit at the town's edge, and as you're slowing down to get into the town, if you're not right there at 25, right
Yeah.
at that moment,
Yep,
they
yep.
got you, right? And
Mhm.
then they violate openly your Fourth and Seventh Amendment rights. Anyway, I did plead not guilty to the charge, and many of you saw the video. As a follow up to all that, go back and check it out. It was on January 7th. As a follow up to all that, I was not going to file a complaint, mainly because it was so far away. So I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of this happened on Facebook. So that's why you have to check us out on Facebook. Connecticut MAGA Republicans and Common Sense groups on Facebook. Check us out over there. Eventually, we're going to link everything together. But um, I decided not to file a complaint. But as fate would have it, the
Mhm.
case that I was working on up in that area, this is, by the way, New Marlborough, Massachusetts. I
Mhm.
had a thing I was working on up there that had closed.
Mhm.
Uh, and I wasn't going to drive all the way up there just to file a complaint. It just didn't seem worth my time and effort. And I'm not that kind of person to pick a fight. I pick my battles, man. I don't, you know what I mean? So, but then as fate would have it, the case reopened. And therefore, I'm back up in the area again. So why not? Right now, I'm already up there. Why not file the complaint? So I posted the video here on YouTube
Mhm.
earlier today. There was a follow up phone call, which I'll post on Facebook later. I can't really, unless I can figure out how to do audio on YouTube. I don't know. I have to videotape the audio, maybe. I don't know. There's a
Yeah, that's
follow.
probably
I
what
did.
you have to do. Yeah.
I did talk to an officer up there today, and he was very very professional, very cool, good cop, good officer. He told me he'd watched the video. He had a body cam video of it as well, and
Okay.
he came back and basically what he said to me was that they train. Here's the kicker.
Hmm.
He's like, that's how he told me when I went up there too. That's how they train the officers, not to identify not to tell you why they pulled you over.
Now, why would they do that?
Specifically again, and I told him right there at the desk, it's that's completely contrary to the Fourth Amendment.
That's
And
a,
he agreed with, and the officer agreed with me.
uh-huh.
And
Oh,
then later, when I post this phone call, you got to check it out. I'll probably find a way to get it on YouTube too.
yep.
He admitted it's a bad policy. Cop admitted to me it's bad.
All right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
watch that. Well, I'll get it out there. I'll find a way to get it out here on YouTube as well. I
Okay.
might need a little technical help with that because it's an audio recording.
Right.
Today, I learned something very valuable: how
Yes.
to audio record a phone call.
Okay.
You just hit it's two buttons. I didn't even know. See, I'm good with technology, but I'm not. That's not one of my strongest things. I got it figured out, and it says this call's being. Have you ever talked to somebody on the phone here? This call's being recorded, so it
Well,
does notify the other. It makes it legal because it notifies the other person that it's
yeah.
being
Okay.
recorded. So it's
Okay.
not clandestine. It is open.
Right. Right.
Right. So anyway, I videotaped that phone call, and the officer admitted it's a bad policy.
Mhm.
And not only that, but when I pled not guilty in Connecticut, if you get a motor vehicle violation, you can plead guilty and pay the fine, or not guilty and get the court date. Same
Okay.
thing in Massachusetts, except one thing:
Yeah.
they also, by policy, violate your Seventh Amendment rights by telling you got to pay a $25 filing fee to go plead not guilty.
Oh, right.
Doesn't that sound like an easy racket? With
Yeah.
that, this is why we have the Seventh Amendment. A lot of people
That's
are not familiar.
very sketchy. Yeah.
Yeah, with that you can just pull anybody over for any time you want. $25 here, $25 there, ding, 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 ding.
Sure. Yeah,
You can
that's a
charge,
way to
make up
way to
anything,
fund the township.
throw it
Sure.
out in court. You still got your $25. You can raise it to $50, right? Why not $50?
Right.
That's why we have the Seventh Amendment.
Very cool. All
So we're
right.
going to challenge
Good.
that hearing is going to happen on video as
Okay.
well, and
All
we're
right.
going to challenge the judge on that. So that'll be interesting.
Okay. I look forward to that. That'll be fun. So,
Also, you want to talk about the kidnapping? This is a surprise thing that
yeah,
you've been so busy with RTCs and other things,
yeah.
doing all the great work you do. You didn't even I don't know if you heard. Okay, I got to make sure I have the right name. Her name is Nancy Guthrie, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, Nancy Guthrie. She's the mother of Sandra Guthrie, is it? She's a host of a Today Show, one of the morning shows. Don't
Mhm.
hold me to which show it is. She's a
Okay.
famous morning talk show host, not talk show, CBS maybe, big
Well,
time.
it's not like we watch a lot of these morning
Yeah,
shows.
I don't watch these moronic shows, so she's one of the left wing media morning show hosts. I think her
Mhm.
name is Sandra Guthrie, if I'm not mistaken. She's
Okay.
the daughter of this woman, and she's had Nancy on. Nancy was kidnapped out of her home in Arizona
Oh dear.
5 days ago, I believe.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh my.
You don't watch Fox is all over it. That's all they can talk about.
I,
And
I
I don't
don't.
want to spend a lot of time talking about this, except to make the point that it's only because that she is this big shot media person, and they're higher up in the echelon. It's a ransom case. It looks like a ransom case.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Um, that they put so much emphasis on these major news stations.
Hmm.
That's all they could talk about.
Yeah.
One woman. Now it's terrible what's happened. I'll give you the story. We now know that apparently, according to the evidence, that she was dropped off by her family one night on the 31st, I believe.
Hmm.
And then sometime during the night, the doorbell indicated no video. There's been no video of this and no DNA, apparently. At least
Okay.
they're not saying that there is.
Right. Right.
And there was a doorbell disturbance at 2:12 a.m. or something like that. And her blood was found by the back door. So signs of it's a crime scene.
Okay.
And there's been a ransom note, apparently.
Okay.
Everything.
Wow.
No, not a lot of detail, but a lot of this is media.
Yeah. 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 And then it's appropriate for them to keep it quiet until
And the
they.
woman needs she's 84 years old. She needs
Oh.
medication. They're worried
Oh.
about without her medication if she's even alive. They've
Wow.
asked for proof. The FBI suggested, and the family came forth and did a public statement pleading for the kidnappers to get her home. She needs her medication. She could be and proof that she's alive, which we don't have.
Right.
It's really, as an investigator, see things like this. I don't know if you remember the guy Photos Doulos. This guy Photos Doulos, who was a
I
big
remember the name.
shot, lived in Farmington. He murdered his wife
About
basically.
him.
Put her in a plastic bag
Okay.
and put her in the dumpsters in the north end of Hartford.
Oh
Him
God.
and his new girlfriend. Yeah, nice story, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that got all kinds of that was worldwide attention on that. They were covering that in Australia. I mean, everywhere. That was
Wow.
because he was rich, because he's rich and white, essentially. Terrible things happen all the time in the inner cities. Nobody cares, and that's not fair.
No, it isn't. It
It's not
isn't.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have money, you get all the attention.
Yeah.
And that's really my point of all this. That's why I don't want to spend too much time on it. Over here, we were talking about it, but
Mhm.
it is an interesting thing. Like, the ransom case. Obviously, you're not going to be poor and have someone. If you're poor like me, you don't have to worry about ransom. No one's going to kidnap my kid and grant ransom. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. It's like.
Well, I got a couple $100 if that'll help you out, man. What can I do?
Yeah.
Lord. But anyway, it is an interesting story. But to cover here's my point. I guess a story like this, if in an ideal world, would be covered extensively by Arizona local media,
Hmm.
and then maybe mentioned on national media, as obviously the APB for whereabouts. But they've spent the entire afternoon on it.
Yeah, it is very interesting to me how they decide what they're going to cover,
The entire afternoon.
let alone how they're covering it.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a country where our freedom is at stake, and we're worried about one woman. That's my point. I'm not saying that it's not a big deal. I mean, it is.
Right.
To lose your mother. I mean, have your mother kidnapped. That's a very dramatic. It certainly is newsworthy. I'm not saying it's not newsworthy. I'm just saying that it's overcovered. The over coverage is the thing.
Yeah.
But there's your story. Yeah, this has become the big story, and no one's cares about Minnesota anymore. Or, it's all about this now. At least on the major news. I'm not sure what CNN does. I don't watch that.
I'm telling you, I don't have regular TV, so I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have.
I don't watch a lot of TV, but now I'm working from home a lot more lately, from my actual home a lot more,
Right.
and and that kind of segues us into actually a little about the RTCs.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah.
And how important it is that people participate and get involved in RTCs and DTCs for that matter,
Hmm.
with common sense. That's all.
Yep.
Numbers and common sense and cameras, by the way, cameras. You can videotape public meetings in public places. Now, here's the story legally about that. I'm learning more and more. We've talked. The Republican Party is technically a private entity.
Hmm.
So you really technically as a that alone kind of disqualifies you from walking in and videotaping them
Right.
because they're a private entity. Just
Mhm.
like you can get into somebody's private business or private home, start videotaping them without their permission, right? However, so that kind of would shut down the whole thing about videotaping RTC meetings. Uh-oh. But no, wait, stop. No, it doesn't. Because after that, yes, we fail that first tenure in the law and whether we can videotape. But there's a second one, and that is where's the meeting being held?
Mhm.
Aha! The meeting is being held at the town hall, which, by the way,
Is a
what
public place.
almost every one of them is.
Yep.
Some of them have them in, not all of them.
Mhm.
Most majority of them have them in the town hall annexes or town hall or another town-owned building.
Mhm.
In Vernon, they have this building called the Lottie Fisk Building in Rockville, where you can have a little soda machine, they have little meeting rooms in there. It's right in the middle of the town park.
Right.
And they have little town meetings in there for public meetings there.
Mhm.
So that's probably my guess. I can see anything that's where an RTC meeting is held, if it's still even like that even more. So anyway, there's 4 towns that I'm going to focus on myself. I've decided, and I call it the loop. It starts with Willimantic.
Okay.
Why Willimantic? Because it's interesting. I want to know what's going on in Willimantic. Nobody talks about that town. We've been on this thing for a long time. Nobody talks about Willimantic.
Okay.
I've had ties, and I've spent a lot of time in Willimantic when I was married. Spent a lot of time in Willimantic. They have a great food co-op there. And
Mhm.
later in the show, Selena, right, you're going to talk about raw milk and good
Yep.
food, right? Um, there's the RTC there, and then the next town, which barely connects, but Coventry,
Mhm.
which I'm now going to adopt as a town, a hometown for me. I've always loved it, and
Mhm.
we're going to see. And I was basically there was a public invite to the Coventry RTC, which is on February 11th, the
Okay.
town hall annex. So I'm going to go check it out. That one I'm going to make. Then
Okay.
Bolton is the next town over, which is a town near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
And the only RTC meeting I ever attended before all this was back in 2010, was a Bolton RTC. And they
Okay.
were very nice to me there. This was 10 years ago now. It was before, no, more than 10 years ago. This is before Donald Trump. So
Okay.
they were very nice to me. And then Manchester, of course, which we talked about before.
Right. Okay.
So those
Cool.
4 I'm going to put under my wing. Let's see if we can get them on the right track.
Mhm.
Another reason I picked Willimantic is because Eastern Connecticut State University,
Okay. Right. Because you
which does not have a TP Turning Point chapter.
right, and
We
you're hoping to
we
help.
talked about that before. Right. So anyway, there you have it.
So just I am still waiting for a meeting to materialize.
For Ansonia?
I am. I am. Derby had a meeting last night. I have a friend in the Derby RTC, and
Okay.
they had a meeting last night, but I was
What's your grade for Ansonia so far? D plus?
yeah, we're still definitely in the very low
You
range.
you yourself brought it from a F plus to a D plus, just yourself, just by joining. And you can get it high. You brought it up 1 letter grade just by
Well, I'm
joining.
in, but that doesn't
You,
apparently mean anything, right?
what about go for chairwoman?
Well, we're gonna see what happens because I think that meeting happens in March.
Let's get you on the state central committee.
Oh, yeah. Well, oh my God. There's
Then
a,
you can really figure out who our friends there are. I think
um,
Mike France is a friend there. So many people tell me that when I say how many people the state central committee are really our friends, and the people say 0, they're full of it. That's not true.
well, certainly there are, but
There's
there,
20. I
there
think
are
there's about
things
20.
there are things that trouble me about all of this, and I'm still trying to figure. And so I did speak with someone who I had spoken with before, and
Mm-hmm.
he's not. I don't even know if he's going to be involved in the RTC anymore because his health is failing.
Oh
So,
boy, I'll
but
do it.
well, maybe that's why he nominated me. So, as he wanted to make sure someone would fill his space. I don't know. I thought I was reaching out to the mayor, but it turns out that that phone number is the literal mayor as opposed to like his personal number. And I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to the Democrat mayor about the RTC, and he's not going to be any help anyway. The only other person I can think of to reach out to, which I potentially could, is actually our registrar of voters here. The Republican registrar is actually the youngest registrar in the state. He's a Gen Z. He's in his early 20s.
Oh
So
wow.
I'm gonna reach out to him and see if he can tell me what the hell is going on here. Because you'd think he
Did,
might have a clue.
I have a lot of faith in the Gen Z. I'm getting more and more faith in the Gen Z. The Gen Z is a throwback. You know what I think? I think the Gen Z, you're going to find out, we're all going to find out someday, is a throwback to the World War II era.
Yeah, well, the young
Not
lads
all of them. There's a
right
lot of
now,
unhinged.
I want to see the young ladies come along because some of them are not, some of them are my sex. I apologize. We're gonna try and straighten this out because it's yeah,
Yeah, I gotta tell
have
people who,
trouble
if you know somebody that's on, a young woman or an older woman
with.
that is on the left that is attending these No Kings rallies, that kind of thing. You need to tell. Here's something you can tell them that help wake them up a little bit. You tell them that their protest has no fuel to it, and law is being followed, and that if they don't, uh, if they're in favor of Islam, more Islamic presence in the country, they're okay with that. The result of that will ultimately end up in, if they feel like wearing parkas, being forced
Burkas,
to wear, what are they called?
burkas,
Burkas. I'm sorry,
parkas are warm
parkas.
coats.
That would suck. If they feel like being forced to wear burqas or having no recourse to rape, hello, by
Yeah.
the way, Sharia law, under Sharia, if you know what Sharia law is, if you're out there cheering with other Islamic people in the streets trying to stop, if you voted for Mandami, that kind of thing, if you're a fool, and if you're a woman and you're supporting this kind of movement, understand that if it ever takes a hold in this country, under Sharia law, there was no,
Yeah.
understand this, no legal recourse for rape.
No, none, none. And here's the thing, women who are not Muslims, if you don't convert, then it's like free for all. Yeah, they just get,
Gang rape. Now you're talking gang rape and
yeah,
probably murder
yeah, they
or
just get
whatever.
to rape you whenever.
Till
So,
you're they
yeah.
can rape you
Oh,
to
rape you
death,
to
and
death. Yeah, that's what
yeah,
they did. That's what they did in Israel.
they'll rape you to death. How about that? Being raped to death. So, and no legal recourse to any of that.
Yeah,
In other words, under Sharia law, women have no rights. Period. They're considered property.
yeah, we are.
They're slaves. They are
Children.
slaves.
Yeah, yeah,
They are
children.
sex slaves essentially, and
This
servants.
is why it just blows
So
my
there
mind
you go.
when women talk about, it's like, oh, I converted to Islam. I'm like,
Yeah,
hmm,
major stupidity.
yeah, okay, okay, yeah. Well, we can get into, female psychology at some point, just because I've been studying that a lot, and I am one. In case you didn't
You
know.
are one.
I am one, definitely. So I can speak to this from a point of experience.
Well, let me ask you this: isn't it true that one of the flaws for women, though, is that they let their emotions control their activities and their decision making too often?
Well, that is,
Generally speaking.
I'm going to give you the psychological piece of this. So there is something called the Big Five personality test.
Hmm.
And it's a well-established way of assessing personality. They've done it all over the world with always, so they know that this test is useful in terms of being able to describe human behavior. On those tests, when they compare men and women, so there are five, let's see if I can remember all five here. So we have openness to new experiences. We have you know what? I'm gonna actually call up mine. I have a picture here. So
Love it.
yeah, there's openness to new experiences. There's neurosis, which is general unhappiness. There is, oh, fuck, yeah,
Neurosis is meaning like you worry too much about things, right?
it's general unhappiness.
Essentially.
So
Yeah.
it can be anxiety, it can be depression. It's just, it's literally general unhappiness, although
Yeah.
they do assess anxiety versus depression. And anxiety and depression are some of the highest. That's like in Gen Z, they
Hmm.
have a very high level compared to other generations of anxiety and depression.
That has a lot to do with the COVID and a lot to do with the way the
But yeah,
left wing
yeah,
runs schools,
COVID
the way the
too.
left wing runs the schools too.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Okay. General. Oh, yeah, let me hang on. Give me a second, Jason. I want to pull this up. So anyway, so women in particular have much higher levels of neurosis than men do. This is statistically, this is accurate. Now, what
Hmm.
happens with that is that we tend to, this shows up around when we hit our teens, and most of the time it doesn't get better for the rest of our natural lives. And
My,
I'm
my
really
mother's the, my mother's the poster child for this.
yeah, well, I mean, it's unfortunately it's kind of a fact of life for women, and it's something that we struggle with. And it may
Hmm.
be one of the reasons why women also tend to attend church more than men do,
Okay.
because we genuinely need the support.
Hmm.
So here's my theory around this. So
Women
yes,
are more nurturing too. Isn't that
oh
started?
yeah, we
Women are more
have to be.
nurturing and more.
Well, yeah, we have to be because if you're not if you're women are and here's another piece is that women are more interested in relationships, men are more interested in things. So when a man gives you a vacuum cleaner for your birthday, it's for them that's a loving thing to do.
Yeah. Okay.
So
A man should see through that, though, right?
well, a man is saying, "Oh, isn't this an awesome tool? Men
What
love good
you
tools."
get in the vacuum cleaner and the jewelry. That's what you do.
But yeah, well, I mean, my husband and I have a joke. We could go on about this because as a woman, I am much less and there's another piece of that scale that's like agreeableness. It's like how
Yeah.
agreeable are you? Women are definitely more agreeable than men.
Yeah. Because they don't like conflict.
We don't like conflict because we are biologically agreeableness is a way of reducing conflict. We're conflict averse. And that's because we are smaller. I'm sorry, no ladies, there is no jumping up and going fist fight face to face with a guy. Don't
Hmm.
freaking do it. Don't think you can do it. Just freaking stop that garbage because the movies lie to you. The movies
Unless you're like, unless you're
lie.
Ali, unless you're Muhammad Ali's kid or something, daughter or something.
Even that, if you're facing somebody who is equally skilled, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
That's true. That's true.
Shoot them and get out. I'm not kidding about it.
Wait a minute.
Well,
Shoot him. Hold on.
hey, if
You're
someone's
talking
coming
about
after you,
life-threatening
I'm like,
situation. You're talking about self-defense here, of course.
I'm absolutely talking about self-defense. I mean, the way they portray stuff, it's like
Okay.
the movies portray women like they're men, and it's just don't, just stop.
I know. Well, you know what? As a result of that, there are more and more women that think they're men. Shouldn't we celebrate our gender differences rather than try to eliminate
Ideally,
them
ideally. So let me get back to like the
like we
whole,
used to?
because you were talking about women and emotions, and it's a good conversation, and we need to have this.
Yes, we
So
do.
the other piece of this is the hormones, because one of the things I didn't realize as a young woman was that because I was on the pill, as many women are on the pill. And theoretically, the pill kind of flattens you out. The problem is that it's giving you progesterone all the time. Progesterone is not a happy hormone. It's not. It's not a
So it
happy hormone.
exacerbates the anxiety and the
Yeah.
everything.
So I was not on hormones for a long time, and then and everything stopped, which is what it does when you get older. And then I went back on the hormones, and my hormones there we're cycling my hormones. So now I'm actually seeing what it's like and why I was perhaps a little unhappier during certain times of my cycle.
Mm.
Because now I'm like, holy patooties, it's like it is not comfortable to just be on progesterone. I am more emotional. I can feel it's like I'm right on edge. And if you get on that last nerve, I will yell at you. And in fact, I believe I did yell at you at one point when I was in the
I
sh
remember.
You remember that?
Yeah, I was like in the
Yes,
summer.
audience, I screamed at
I
our
called you too early in the
therapist.
morning too. You told me you weren't a great morning person. So I called you too
I
early in the
told you
morning.
to
To be
stop
fair,
talking. He didn't
to be
stop
fair,
talking. He wouldn't stop
I
talking.
tried. I almost did.
I don't think you tried at all.
I wasn't given a lot of latitude that day. That's why I remember it.
No, no, yeah, it was bad. I screamed at him and hung up on him.
It's
So
all right. I've been married, so I know
bless you.
that stuff doesn't phase me anymore.
Yeah,
When I fortified me when I was younger.
Well,
doesn't even.
no,
It's
and this is
just
something that it's
a woman.
useful for young men to understand is that yes,
Yeah.
hormone cycle. And the worst thing you can do is look at us and say, and dismiss it because we're emotional.
Yeah.
Because
I,
as a woman, we want to be seen as whole human beings, not some broken thing that you should dismiss.
well, women are burdened with the menstrual cycle. That's one thing that when I was younger, luckily
Yeah,
for me, good thing for me, I've never had any kind of gender identity crisis whatsoever.
right. Yeah. Well, neither.
I feel bad for people that do, quite frankly, because
Yeah.
I knew right from the beginning, like, wow, when I first heard about, I was probably 12, maybe 11, I don't know how old it was, when I first heard about the men, what women go through, I was like, oh my, thank God I'm a man. I was, and I knew years before that women had to squirt a child out through their, what, and I was like, that is something I do not want to do. Like, babies seem cool to me, but like,
My God.
so what women, I have a lot of empathy toward women for those two reasons alone.
Yeah.
And that's got to mess with your hormones. That's got to have something to do with
Oh
this,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
this is all of the hormone stuff is, I mean, this is our
Then
evolved
got it made.
process for producing children, for producing,
Hmm.
babies,
Yeah.
making babies. Everything in our genetic system is designed to help us raise children,
Right.
to have a baby, to nurture a baby, because and then when you have a baby, you get all the oxytocin and
Hmm.
all of this. I mean, it's such a magnificent, amazing system.
You
And
probably get, yeah, the love you feel is a different thing that men even get to,
yeah,
don't even get that same hormone, probably, that creates
yeah,
that.
we got oxytocin, you get something called vasopressin.
Right. There you go. See,
So you got your own little magic
we
hormone.
got our own little magic fatherly love thing going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like women and men are definitely different.
Yeah.
It'd be
That's the
nice if we
point.
could figure out, my personal opinion is that if as a woman you have a man who is um, loving and supportive and a good caretaker, that you as a woman are more going to be more calm and less likely to be anxious
Yeah.
because he's got your back in that way that you really need somebody to have your back. And
And I think, another thing, like, okay, women's rights, right? Women, everybody knows that women have the same rights as men to do whatever they want with their lives, right? But that doesn't mean they always should. just just because you can doesn't mean you
what
necessarily
the
should.
way I
There's
see rights is that rights come with responsibilities.
right.
If
And raising a child is an incredibly noble thing. It's better than any job, in my opinion.
Hmm.
To raise to then, and one of the biggest problems our children have in this country is not enough mothers are actually raising. There's so many daycare centers filled with kids, and I'm not putting down the daycare centers. That's a necessary thing in the society. However, I made sure none of my three
there
kids ended
wasn't,
up in a daycare center, as much as I could help it. Was that?
I said it would be nice if it wasn't a necessary thing.
It would be very nice because you can't, no matter how above the board and nurturing and wonderful any particular daycare center may be, and I would venture most of them are very good.
Yeah,
Although
people
I'm
don't
sure there's bad ones too, if
know.
they exist.
There's
If they
leering
exist, hello
centers.
Minnesota.
Yeah, yeah, there's leering centers, and you
Yeah,
don't want any of
but
that.
I did have a couple of brief periods where my two youngest ones had to go to because of their. I have no control of what their mother did, but for a brief time they did go for a little while after school. So it wasn't like it was all day really, but and that place was very nice.
Mhm.
But no matter how nice, here's my point: no matter how nice it is, you cannot provide the kind of one-on-one individual nurturing that a mom can provide for their child at home.
I totally agree.
It's not
I,
possible.
I grew up in
Not even
daycare
close.
from 6 months old. I
Yeah.
was in daycare. And my daycare provider she was a very loving, moral person. And I was very
Yeah.
fortunate in her. But here's what I missed out on. I had zero skills. Zero. Didn't know how
Yeah.
to cook, didn't know how to clean, didn't know how to
Yeah.
take care of my house.
They
Uh,
didn't teach you nothing.
I mean, things that as a human being you should know how to do. Like,
Right.
can you fry an egg? I knew
Right.
how to do that when I graduated college. I had to figure it out. I could boil water. I could make spaghetti. That's what I could
But,
do. I could make soup. I was pretty good at soup.
yeah.
Um, but there was just so much that a parent teaches a child that encourages them, that helps them be functional in the world. And part of the reason I was anxious as a young person was because I was out in the world. I had no idea what to
They
do.
didn't have a skill set. You didn't have a foundation, right?
I
You
had
know, that
no
kind of happened to me when I was sent to, I was sent to kindergarten with no, like, Jason, make sure you sit up straight or make sure you don't, pick your nose or, like
idea.
there was no instructions at all. I went to kindergarten like blah, 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 blah,
You
blah,
had no
blah.
social skills.
And I'm picking my
I'm a
nose.
little
I'm seeing,
boy
and I'm
too. Little
no
boys
social
are.
skills at all,
Yeah,
And the kids are like, look at this guy, and that set me up for a lot
yeah,
of BS, man, until I got into high school. By the time it took really, I was right through middle school. It took me to shake all that off.
yeah. You had to figure it
Luckily, I'm
out.
a cool dude, so by the time I got into high school, I was like in the mainstream.
Okay,
But
but it took
yeah, it
you
took me
that
like
long to
seven
figure it
years to bullshit to
out.
climb out of all that, right? Just
Yeah,
for one day in first grade, I literally sneezed and I had boogers all over my hand.
yeah.
The girl next to me went, "Eh, burger nose." I was burger nose for like the next 2 years after that.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
poor thing.
I laugh about it now. It's cool, but
Oh yeah,
kids kids can be cruel, like. But yeah, I wasn't given any skill sets when I sent to school, so I know kind of what you're talking about.
and that's part of Jordan Peterson says that if your job is to socialize that little little ball of instinct that you've given birth to, and
Yep,
if you don't socialize a child by like 2 years old, the likelihood that they're going to be gets really low.
that's true. That's true.
So
Now I got to watch out for my grandkids on that. I make sure that all goes down right for them.
yeah,
But if you're gonna, I think a little things. If you have small children and you are working and you need some type of care, there's like I said, it is a necessary thing in the society. I would strongly suggest stay away from daycare centers.
Hmm.
Go with if you first of all, if you got family that can watch your children, on a regular basis, I would try that first.
Yeah.
Or my two youngest once again did for a little while go to a private home
Mhm.
daycare where it was just one woman there. I think there were only three other kids there, so it was a lot more.
They're
Yeah,
hard
when you were
to
getting close,
find because
a little more
the hoops that the state makes people jump through in order to have a daycare is
right.
insane. I have a
Yes,
friend who did that for a while, and it
because they
was
want to centralize it. That's why they're trying to centralize it in their big daycare centers, and they want to indoctrinate your kids before they're in kindergarten.
yes,
That's why they're doing it,
yes,
and
yes.
that's evil.
Yeah,
Evil on its face. They want to be the state of Connecticut believes that they are the custodians of your kids, and they're just living with you, and you're providing food, clothing, and shelter. You're the financial asset. They believe they're the true parents. They
they're
do.
communists. So
Look at
I mean,
yeah, they're
Vermont
communists, right?
Vermont's going right back to his grandfather, and he was a card carrying communist. So
Just look at each state agency that's involved with children. There's several of them, and look at what their policies are, and you just know I'm right. We're both right about it. That's how it is. It's disgusting. So
well, let's move on.
yes, let's move on and talk about. Why don't you tell us a little bit about raw milk?
Okay, so 2 weeks ago now, I think because I've started doing this little additional Make Connecticut Healthy Again podcast. And
Hmm.
the first subject I talked about was raw milk because that's come up on Maha. And what's interesting is that there's quite a lot of protest about that from the left because even though RFK Jr. was a Democrat, he is a traitor Democrat because he's now working for
Yeah, it's all about the politics.
he's working for you know
Yeah.
who. And actually, he's working for the American people. I'm
Right.
so happy that he is running health.
RFK is a hero.
He is a hero. He's
He is a
absolutely.
hero.
Um,
Just like his great uncle or whatever, JFK.
yeah.
JFK was a hero as well. Well,
Yep.
go ahead.
So sadly, there was an infant who died in New Mexico. I believe it was yesterday. And the health agencies are saying this was because his mother drank raw milk and he got it through the breast milk. So I wanted to address that. There's a couple of problems with how this is all being framed. Now, first of all, there's a lot of, and I need to look it up again. I didn't get that far, but there are a lot of states that are doing their best now to legalize raw milk sales, either on farm or in the store or whatever. And it is
Mhm.
legal to sell in stores in Connecticut. And I have
Thank
bought
goodness that wasn't always the case.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm
It was
aware.
illegal for a long
I
time. Yeah.
literally well over 10 years ago, I was literally in the Capitol because every now and then they try and make it illegal. And I was literally in the Capitol advocating for raw milk.
Right.
I went to a hearing and,
What gives them even the right fundamentally to decide that at all?
ideally we have the right to decide that.
Right.
And it's, they have their standards and they have to test and all that sort of thing.
You want
Although,
to know something else real quick? I think it was 2008 or 2010 when they made it legal.
mhm.
Before that, while it was illegal, the only way they have to get the farmers. So this is why they're trying to destroy. You talked about the farmers, how they're trying to destroy the farmers with those taxes. That's related to this
Ah,
because the only reason the farmers would have, without the farmers' consent, they would. Farmers had a much stronger political clout back in the day, as you can imagine. And
right.
without the farmers' consent, they would never be able to
I
get it
think it
legal.
was legal earlier
The
than
only
2008 because I think that might have
maybe
been, yeah, I'm pretty sure because
the only reason the state was able to have it illegal back then with the
Mhm.
farmers' support because the farmers made them agree to exempt the farmers and their own families. So the
Okay,
farmers themselves could drink their own raw milk with
right,
their own kids. What does that tell you about
right.
what the farmers know about how good it is
Yeah,
and
and
what the state knows about it?
yeah, that's not uncommon.
Evil again.
Yeah, after all, there were, I mean, pasteurization only happened in the 1800s. And long before that, people were living on milk that was not pasteurized.
That's right. And I
That
think
was,
even up
it's like,
until
yeah,
isn't it true up until the 1940s even like the milkman could come and deliver raw milk to your house still.
yeah, yeah, depending on what, yeah, I mean, if
Milkman, yeah,
they didn't get into the crazy legal stuff until later.
right.
So sadly, this child died, and the news, which was a Fox station that was reporting it, said, "Oh, it was probably because the health agency says it's probably because of the listeria in the raw milk that this woman was drinking." So there's a couple of problems with this story, the way it's framed. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, if you're looking at the risk of consuming raw milk, you can't just say raw milk is extra dangerous and just say it's extra dangerous. You have to look at it in comparison to all the other opportunities that we have to get listeria. And I'm just going to talk about listeria because there's plenty of other pathogens that you can get, potentially from milk, whether it's raw or pasteurized.
Right,
So it's like the world is filled with pathogens. How are we getting them?
right.
It turns out that in the last year, in general, foodborne illnesses killed just over 1,000 people
Nationwide?
nationwide.
Well,
Yes.
that's not a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, but that's all foodborne illnesses.
Yeah,
So
okay.
why is raw milk somehow special from all of these others? So the largest percentage, I guess the largest percentage of those, if you wanted to put it in a particular category, listeria was, let's see if I've actually got the actual numbers, but there was a large listeria outbreak this year in 2025.
You're
Um,
in Connecticut or just
no,
nationwide?
this is nationwide. I just want
Okay, okay,
why because
okay.
this wasn't, this particular event was in.
There's a huge spike in it. Okay.
Yeah, so there was a spike in listeria, and it was not from raw milk. It wasn't even from milk. It was from prepared foods.
Oh,
The biggest number was it was like literally like a ready to eat prepared
like
pasta.
undercooked chicken dinners and stuff like that.
Well, it's because it's a prepared meal. You don't know what went into it, and this is
Yeah. How do they prepare this meal?
the Alfredo and similar projects. There
That's
and there's a list of the particular.
surprising.
It was probably some company that was making them. They got contaminated. At 25 confirmed illnesses across 18 states. This is just listeria. Uh,
Yep.
6 reported deaths. Again, not that many. One of them caused so that actually I should say 7 reported deaths because one of them was a pregnancy associated case that resulted in fetal loss.
Oh,
Um,
gee.
but this was all across the
Good
Southwest.
Lord.
Yeah, this is all. It was Hawaii, Illinois, Michigan, Oregon, Texas, and Utah. It didn't say where the the spontaneous ending of the pregnancy happened. And this was, and this has continued. This continued into January. This is toward the end of the year. So one of these things happened. So it's Utah and Texas is were two of the places where these deaths occurred, and this particular death of this infant was in New Mexico. So we don't know if somehow this is related. We don't know that. Because the other piece is that it's extremely rare for an infant to die or even get sick from something that the mother ate. I mean, this is breast milk. Breast milk has its own
Yeah. So
microbials in it. Because if the mother ate something bad and it killed the baby, that would be really bad from an evolutionary standpoint. That is a really poor design.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I'll,
That's why isn't that why they say it's okay to like for women to drink small amounts of alcohol after their baby's born because it's not a big deal. It's not going to translate through like it would when they're in
It's
the womb,
not
right?
quite the same because that's not a microbe.
Oh,
But yeah, so I can't speak to
but
that.
I don't hear people complain about women that drink when their kids are young and stuff like it's only when they're pregnant. So I don't know if that was
Yeah,
why.
yeah. Well, that's because you can get fetal alcohol syndrome and it doesn't
Yeah,
take much. So,
right.
but
Different when they're in the womb. I mean, they're actually
yeah,
getting the
it's very
stuff
different.
directly. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's like it's really, really rare for something like listeria to get. Usually, if a child gets sick through breast milk, it's a virus, not a bacteria. Listeria is a bacteria. So
right.
the fact that this reporting came out, and this isn't uncommon when you're hearing reports about raw milk, because it's like people get really hysterical about it. Um, I was on Substack and I was looking at a couple of um, I was looking at a blog that was, criticizing and like, oh, this went really badly. And there's a couple. I don't know if you've heard of the Ballerina Farm.
No,
There's no reason why you would.
sounds like an oxymoron to me, but
I
okay.
know. It's a very traditional
Like
man married
Paris versus
married a very pretty
Chattanooga.
woman who
Okay.
used to be a ballet dancer, and they've got a passel of kids, and they're very popular, I think, on TikTok and probably Instagram and stuff. They do a lot of videos, and apparently he's super traditional and potentially looks a little controlling. I haven't watched any of the videos, so I can't speak to that, but it's definitely the opinion of these observers that he is very controlling.
Hmm.
Um, so it was interesting that there was a ton of comments, but this blog post was talking about how horrible raw milk was, and the Ballerina Farm they were like, oh, we want to sell raw milk. Well, they were dumb about it. They were dumb about it, and they didn't actually look into the protocols for keeping your cow clean.
Right. And I was going to say that it's just because
Yeah,
you can get sick on meat too if it's not properly,
yeah, absolutely.
just nobody talks about making meat illegal.
Yeah. And it's like so there was no discussion of the actual it's like these people screwed up is what they did. But then that the blog
Negligence.
post turned it into this whole thing about, oh yeah, well here you go, these raw milk people, they're just stupid. And very few there were some 200 plus comments. There were maybe four that actually had to do with raw milk, and the rest were all about how terrible Trump was and how terrible the administration was. I'm like, wow, this had so.
Blame Trump. Blame RFK. Blame Trump.
Yeah. I was like, listen, you people really should listen to yourself sometimes, but I guess it's just fun to pile on. But so the other piece that you need to think about with raw milk is that the question becomes, is pasteurization the only way to make milk safe? And it is not, because there's
No.
all sorts of cleaning that you can do of the cow. And
Pasteurization ruins the nutritional value of the milk, from what I understand.
when keeping the cow clean is fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing that disturbs. I mean, this is what people used to do. It's
Or
like,
is it homogenization? Is the one? There's homogenization. Is it
no,
that
well, no, the pasteurization, there's a lot of things that pasteurization does, and I spend a little more
it
time.
boils it? And blah blah blah.
Yeah, it boils it, and it does destroy.
Killing all the live enzymes that help you, the raw milk can help you with.
Yeah, yeah. So just as a very, very, tight baseline, the way that you know that milk is pasteurized, and this is the literal test, is that all of the lactase is gone. Now, there's quite a few people who can't actually digest lactose, which is milk sugar, and
Right.
lactase is what helps you break that down. So sometimes people who have trouble digesting milk can do raw milk without it being
Without a problem, right? Yep.
a problem. Now, there's other things that can potentially be a problem, and not everybody has the genetics to digest milk. But if you're Northern European, you probably have those genetics because
Well,
we,
I've heard a lot of things about the milk, the commercial milk that gets sold, that everybody buys. And I don't really want to sit there and give you any gory details. I don't have any real evidence or proof of it. But I'll say one word: pus.
yeah, there's a lot of because the
I heard
cows
rumors
are
stuff, nasty stuff gets into that milk sometimes.
here's how that works. Because cows are not actually supposed to be eating grain. People think, oh, you feed your cows
No,
grain.
they
No,
eat grass.
they're supposed to eat grass. So what
Mhm.
happens? They eat the grain. It literally changes the gut bacteria in their stomach. Their gut becomes more alkaline. No, their gut becomes acid, which means that, and this is delightful, which means that they're gonna have a worse, heavier bacteria load. The bacteria, I'm going to give you the exact name of this bacteria.
Oh man, that's disgusting.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, and why? And why is it that Selena? Why is it that they don't feed cats grass? And they feed them grain.
because
Money.
they
That's
want
why it's too
meat.
expensive. It's too expensive to keep grass growing.
Yeah, so the bacterium E. coli 0157 colon H7. So this is a very, very toxic E. coli. It's one that kills people. And it's when you feed cattle grain, it's much more likely that you're going to get that kind of E. coli in their gut. And so, this is when you get E. coli outbreaks with meat. That's why. That's the problem. But
Keeping people sick.
oh, excuse me. Um, but this can also show up in milk cows. And I don't know if you've ever seen um, any any video of what happens when they're milking cows. Do you know how they clean their udders?
I don't want to know. You're gonna tell me anyway. Go ahead.
Fire. They have a blowtorch and they literally run it over the cow's butt.
Wow.
I've seen video of this like more than once.
I think I've seen some video like that once before. I
Yeah.
thought it was probably just an acting thing. I didn't know it was actually
No,
real.
no, that's literally how they are sterilizing. Now, how do you know how well that works? And it's like, oh yeah, okay. And if you leave it too long, you get it, there's going to be a problem. So they're in
Yeah, you think.
so quickly.
You don't need to be a scientist to get
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's just the poop. That's just the poop. But the fact that the cows are not getting what they're supposed to be eating, they're
Yeah,
gonna have a
that
lot of they're
throws it
gonna
off right there.
have
All for money.
Yeah, they're going to have inflammation in their bodies. They're going to be more susceptible to something called mastitis, which is a
I can vouch for raw milk. I drank a lot of it in the first years after I got diabetes. I was drinking a lot. I still drink it occasionally. I probably should start drinking more of it again. Actually, it really tastes great.
it does taste
It's
good.
really refreshing. It feels like the real deal, and it's definitely as long as you're getting it from a reputable farm, there's nothing to worry about. And there are two farms that I used to actually go buy it from, and they actually sell at some of the grocery stores around the area, the state, Coventry, Manchester area, and stuff like that. And I'm gonna find out who they are again. I'll plug them on here at another show, another time, because raw milk is definitely awesome. It really is.
It is good. And I used to drink more of it, but I found it was making me put on weight. So
Yeah, too much.
now I
I don't drink as much because it's too much dairy. Like I don't want to go crazy on dairy, dairy, dairy,
I do a
dairy.
lot of kefir because I'm,
I think aged Swiss cheese, a little imported aged Swiss cheese. I like to nibble on sometimes. I don't need the crackers. I don't need anything else. Just a little cheese. I don't need the ham.
right. So
But
that's what I wanted to share about the raw milk is that they're not being fair in their reporting.
no, and it's all meant to. It's not a good thing. It's an evil thing. It really. I'm gonna use the word evil because that's what it is. Evil and chaos. It's bad.
So if anyone's curious, I have the video that I put out last week, and it's on YouTube and Substack and Rumble. And at the bottom of that video, there are some sources that you can look at that specifically break down exactly what the safety issues are and what you should and should not be concerned about, and a good deal of the history. So do your own research.
Yeah, don't take our word for it. Look into
Yeah,
it yourself.
do your own research.
And also, don't look at when you Google something or whatever you AI search for thing.
Right.
Don't read the thing at the very top and take that as the automatic answer either.
And
Scroll
honestly,
down.
to raw milk,
Scroll,
don't trust the AI either. Just
yeah,
do your
yeah. Don't just watch the AI and say that's it. Scroll down, look at the old stuff, look at, uh, and then even what I do is when I research something, I'm an investigator. You can take my point of view. Look at the opposite. Type if you want to look at good things about. Then Google what are the bad things about raw milk, so you can see what the other side's saying too, and then you can decide what makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Look at
more independent
always
thinking.
good to look at both sides of the argument, which is what universities were supposed to be all about, which they really
Right. Eastern again.
yeah.
We're gonna get them at Eastern. We're gonna get them. We're gonna get TPUSA into
But
Eastern.
you wanted to talk about, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about diabetes.
A little bit, a
Mhm.
little bit. Um, yeah, I'm a diabetes patient, and I'm a
Type two,
prototype.
right? Are you type
What's
two?
that? Type two. Type two. Yeah.
Yeah. So
People, I think, just so people understand, type one diabetes is generally, I believe. You can now. You're good with this stuff, so you can stop me if you think I'm wrong. Generally speaking, diabetes type 1 is genetic. If you catch it generally as a child or a teenager, and it really is a defect in your pancreas, it just isn't working properly. It has nothing to do with your habits or anything like that. And you definitely almost always, I believe, insulin
pancreas
dependent with
does
it.
not produce insulin. And the
Yeah,
question,
your pancreas is not properly or not at all producing
type
insulin,
one,
right?
that's type one.
Right. And that's really,
Different.
and I had a girlfriend I dated in high school for 2 years. She had that,
Mhm.
type 1. So type 2, on the other hand, is a much more, I think, American. And in my studies, I got diabetes in 2015. I followed the program, took them. I was scared when I first got it. I admit, I was like, oh. The two things that scare me, I don't get scared about anything, any other people. What scares me is
Let's
what's going to go on
explain
inside of
what
me.
type 2 diabetes is because a lot of people don't
Yeah,
actually understand
it's
that.
onset diabetes. It comes from too much either nasty saturated fats or too much sugar. Generally, too much sugar.
Actually, it's not has nothing to do with saturated fats.
Okay.
So
Well,
okay,
my understanding is that
yeah, well that was
the
that
sugar is this is the sugar is the
sugar, yes.
catalyst, right?
Fats
Sugar is
not.
the right. So tell me if I'm wrong about this. The sugar gathers too much sugar in your bloodstream, right? And what that does is it forms your red blood cells. There's a coating where they absorb your nutrients and use your nutrients properly. And the sugar, I mean, I'm sorry, not the sugar. I'm getting it wrong. The fats.
No,
Too
just
much saturated. What are the bad fats? Tell me, Selena. Which are the bad fats? Saturated or non-saturated? Which worse?
the
What's the bad?
saturated fats are part of the
Okay.
cell walls.
My understanding is this. Tell me if I'm wrong. The saturated fats.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're wrong.
But let me finish first. You got to tell me if I finish.
All right, fine, go for it.
Too much of the saturated fats form a lining around your red blood cells. They're because your sugar is a source of your energy. We use fat and sugar for energy, correct? Fats and sugars for energy, right? Right? Now it's gonna be the silent treatment on the air. So the bad fats create a lining around your red blood cells that don't allow them to absorb the sugar enough,
No,
thereby leaving
no,
it in the
oh my God,
bloodstream.
that is so wrong.
Okay. Okay,
That is,
correct me. Correct
that
me.
is so wrong. Okay,
Correct me.
first of all, fats have nothing to do with the type 2 diabetes process.
All right.
And if that's what they told you,
I read about it. Nobody told me anything, but I read it.
I don't know where you read that. It's not good.
I'm
So
going to forward you that book. Go ahead, though.
have at it. Um, yeah.
It's on my desktop. I don't have it on social media or anything like that
Oh,
yet.
great. Okay.
It's coming.
Okay. So what happens is that if you have when you eat sugar. Now, first of all, sugar was not common in our ancestral environment. It was not a thing. We got honey and
Yeah.
you think about fruit, the fruit
It's
that we
only
got,
common
the
in the
big fat
fruits.
fruit, it wasn't like that. We got berries once in a while.
Yeah.
So what happens is that when in our ancestral environment, when we got something sweet, that is a big burst of energy. And so
We
our
only
body,
got 6 to 8 grams of sugar per day as our ancestors did, whereas
yeah,
now it's like
yeah,
250 or something, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The reason it's appealing is because we get a big blast of dopamine when we have a little bit of sugar. It's like, woohoo, that's
Yeah.
cool. So that's why it's attractive. And then in order for your body to cope with it, because sugar is very harsh on your blood vessels, because your
Yeah.
body turns like sucrose into glucose, and that's very harsh on your blood vessels. So your body tries to pack it into cells. It's like the blood vessels carry the glucose to the cells, and if you're consuming, and the insulin is what induces it to do that.
Yep.
That's the chemical. So that's your what your pancreas produces.
Right.
So what happens is that if you're eating more sugar than can fit into your cells get packed full of sugar, and the you eat more
Can't
sugar,
take any more.
the red blood cells come and knock on the door, and there
Yeah.
ain't no room at the inn. And so
Okay.
sugar's floating around in your
It
bloodstream.
ends up in your blood, right?
Yeah, and then insulin is floating around in your blood, and insulin is also a very harsh thing to have on the insides of your blood vessels.
Yeah.
So
Too much can kill you. Too much insulin will kill you quick.
yeah, so that's damaging. So that's what type 2 diabetes is. It's like there's too much sugar. Your cells, your blood cell, your tissue cells are filled with sugars.
Right, but if it was only that, wouldn't if you contracted type 2 diabetes and then simply cut the sugar, wouldn't that eventually heal you though? And it
Yes.
doesn't. But it doesn't though.
That no, it does. It
Just
does.
cutting sugar completely, that's it.
Not just sugar, carbs. Because
Why
because
carbs?
because carbs turn into sugar in your blood.
Like white bread, stuff like that.
Any bread,
Yeah. So,
grain, fruits,
and that's why the all
starchy.
that's why the all raw vegetables, fruits, and nuts diet that I read
No,
about would
no,
be
no.
ideal.
Well, it's helpful because what's happening is your body just isn't
You're
taking
not getting the bread, you're not getting the sugar when you do that.
the bread is big, but so
Too much
here's
fruit though.
so
Watch out for too much fruit though, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
So I
that
was told I read that natural sugar that comes from fruit can't really hurt a type 2 diabetes patient.
well, the problem with because fruit sugar is fructose.
Yeah.
Fructose is processed through the liver as opposed to going is supposed to going right into your blood.
So
However, it does put a lot of stress on your liver.
too
So
much of it would, yeah.
yeah, so that can be problematic in the long run.
I eat a lot of blackberries.
Berries are better for that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Berries in general
Blueberries,
they have a
blackberries.
lower sugar content, so they're less.
Yeah, my doctor's eyes lit up when I told him I ate a lot of berries. He's like,
Okay, yeah, and
good.
they and they come with a lot of antioxidants and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good.
However, there's a doctor in I believe it's Toronto. His name is Jason Fung. You can look it
Uh-huh.
up, Fung, and so the standard practice has been it's like, oh, don't eat a lot of saturated fats, which has nothing whatsoever to do with diabetes. And saturated fats are good fats as long as they're coming from a natural source.
Right, right.
The
Same thing with
bad
the milk.
fats
Just like the
are,
milk we talked about.
yeah, that's the bad fats are the
Yeah.
altered fats like trans fats, like Crisco,
Okay, there you go.
and the scary, it's like that scary stuff that they have.
So you don't think it makes any sense to you that something like too much Crisco in your system could
Oh,
exacerbate the problem by
oh,
leaving
yes, absolutely.
yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
bad fats will definitely exacerbate the problem because you need the healthy, and by healthy, I mean beef tallow,
Mhm.
I mean lard, I mean coconut oil, because that's part of your cell walls. That's what helps you make the hormones,
Okay.
and insulin is a hormone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you need saturated
Maybe
fats.
I should make you my doctor. Be my medical my there's a thing called an ND, nutritional doctorate that's out there. I don't know how many of them are around, but they're out there.
Interesting.
I have one
I
sort
ain't
of.
going, dude, I ain't going back to school. I'm so done.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah,
going back to school. So
no
done.
career students over here.
Yeah. Oh my God. I am
My
so done.
ex-wife is a
I
career
found this
student.
thesis. We're so over. Um, so yeah, saturated fats are part of your cell walls. You also need saturated fats in order to process vitamins D, E, A, and K. You don't have enough saturated fats in your bloodstream, you're not getting adequate nutrition. And
Mhm.
those are critical. Vitamin D.
I've taken vitamin D and B12 supplement.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
That's good. Um, so where was I? I lost my place. I get distracted. Oh,
Yeah,
right. I'm talking about Jason Fung. So he was treating type 2 diabetes conventionally. And
yep.
he finally decided it's like, no, this other approach, I need to do this. So basically his patients, which are typically type 2 diabetics who are obese, they can eat bacon, olives, Um, oh shoot, there's two other things, and it's like
I can't do olives. Ugh.
they're four. It's like a four ingredient diet that's bacon, olives, and I can't remember what the other two
God,
things.
those are two of the foods I like. All foods, just about. You
That
just
oh, it's
named
already
two of the
good.
ones that are at the bottom of my
Yeah,
spectrum.
but it was
Olives,
very
I will
because
not
it
eat.
was he did, and he said those four things just because it was really hard.
What were the other two? Olive, bacon, and what else?
Um, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to look it up.
I'm just curious if I hate the other ones too. I don't hate bacon. I can tolerate bacon, but it's my least favorite meat.
Well, it's because because it has fat and a decent amount
It's
of
just
salt
not
and
that.
that sort of thing. And
I mean,
the idea is he was trying to
I don't,
get people to hang on. You know what? Give me a sec. Talk about something while I look this up because I can't do two things at
well,
once.
I'll tell you what. While you're doing that, I want to do a sidebar. We'll come back to this.
All
I
right.
watched you and Jay the other day.
Oh, you did.
I
Okay.
watched the whole show. I'm very busy, so it's hard to watch all the podcasts. I want to watch them all because we're obviously building up a news network here. So, but I watched. I happened to while I was working here, I was listening to it, and I just got a couple. You guys are great, actually. First of all, but I got to tell Jay a couple things um, about the New England Patriots and Robert Kraft. I'm sure he already knows this, so I'm not trying to say he doesn't already know this, but I want to add something to it,
Uh-huh.
and I hope he didn't fall for it too. But I remember when John Rowland and Robert Kraft came out and announced that the Patriots are coming to Hartford. And I'm glad the Patriots were able to sue. I mean, the state of Connecticut was able to sue the Patriots and get some money back. They saved face. But I want to make one thing clear. And I was never fooled by it. I know most of the state was, but I wasn't. The Patriots were never coming to Connecticut. It was never, ever going to happen. Never. Bob Kraft had his tongue, he was biting his cheek while I was sitting there with Roland on the stage. There's no way. There's no way. Do you think Paul Tagliabue, who was the commissioner of the NFL at that time, would allow the New England Patriots in Boston, the fifth biggest market in this nation, to come to Hartford? No way. No way. Thank God I didn't. Now, there's a verse of the Bible that says, Blessed is he who is, no, blessed is he who lives without expectations, for he will never be disappointed. And I was not disappointed when a few months later they announced the Patriots were not coming to Hartford, and the city was everybody's crushed. And I hope Jay, you weren't crushed too. You probably were, but I'll give you a break on that one. We'll have to talk about that one another time. So just so you know on that one. But go ahead. You got your information now on the four foods.
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna ask Rock because
I'm
sometimes
off that diet. Okay, ask Grok. There you go. In the meantime, there's another thing I could talk about while you're asking Grok.
okay.
Um, I wear this Trump hat, and pretty much I think almost every podcast we've had, I wear the Trump hat, and I wear it when we go to rallies. I wear that. I'm a big supporter of Make America Great Again. I love Donald Trump. My brothers think I'm in a cult, which is ridiculous. They're the ones in the cult, by the way. The cult is when you can't have your own opinion. They're the ones that they can't have their own opinion. We do, just so you know. But I've decided for one reason, a very important reason, you're going to start seeing me in other hats and not always wearing the Trump hat anymore. Not because I'm demanding Donald Trump in any way,
Uh-huh.
but because because there's one main reason, two
Mhm.
main reasons. One, we're in Connecticut, which
Right.
is just filled with the other reason, and
Mhm.
that is that TDS is real.
Yeah, it is.
TDS is real. It's a real syndrome. It's a real illness. And there's people that are actually afflicted with it that are actually pretty smart otherwise. People that I know that 15 years ago I knew personally that could talk about both sides of an issue and talk about these same issues. There were some of the same, including immigration, that we're talking about now, and just be reasonable. And now they've lost all reason.
Mhm.
It's literally a syndrome. It's literally a mental illness. And
Yeah.
so I don't want to be walking around with a Trump hat all the time. And as soon as they see me, I want to reach out to these people. Common Sense News and Entertainment is going to eventually have a show called Common Sense News and Entertainment Mental Health or Mental Health Clinic or something like that.
Mhm.
Where we're going to, I want to do this stuff, okay, for the news network for a show to examine this and help people really, like especially afflicted are a lot of these older women that go to these No Kings rallies that are walking around. Actually, we're going to go to some of those this year if they have them again, and they're just completely like, again, getting back to this, do these ladies want to live under Sharia law? I mean, what are you doing? So they're so lost in this syndrome. And so if I walk around with a Trump hat,
Yeah,
and eventually
they're gonna shut down immediately.
everyone's going to shut down. All these people are going to shut down right away. And I want to help these people.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, for those of you that are big supporters like me, and they see me not wearing the Trump hat anymore, they're going to say that I've turned coat or whatever. It's not it at all. I'm going undercover.
Okay.
Okay, we're going
Well,
undercover.
I
No,
totally
really,
get
I'm not even kidding. We're going to go undercover, and then our news network is called Common Sense News and Entertainment.
that.
It's not Republican Common Sense News and Entertainment. It's not Democrat News and Entertainment. There's no common sense associated with Democrats anymore, but there's no such thing as we're not about that. We're about getting to the truth. Whatever that is, let it shake out where it is, let you decide. Fox used to say, "We report, you decide." Wasn't that their?
Yeah, I think it still is.
They still. I don't. They don't say too much anymore on the air. I don't think
I don't know. I don't know because you know what I can't say because I don't watch them.
they're slipping a little bit. I don't want. I have them on. You know what it is? You know how when you have, if you do have cable TV, there's that one channel when you turn it on, it comes on. That's the channel.
Right,
So it's just on a lot. But I don't watch. I don't sit there and
right, it's back.
watch it a lot, but it helps give me. I want to get the perspective. You know, I want it. Just I'm going to be a new. I'm going to if I'm going to be a journalist, I got to know what's going on, right?
It
So I
is.
don't just watch Fox though. I watch Newsmax, and I have to tune it on. I have to like stick my finger down my throat a little bit and turn on WTIC AM 1080 News Talk Radio, where it's got
Okay.
wicked left wing over there. I think they have a couple. I think they have a right wing guy that still like comes on a little bit. Like Rush Limbaugh's dead now, so I don't know what. But it's good to get the other side a little bit, you know. So
Yeah, my husband could probably well, the guys he listened to are mostly out of New York. Okay, I have my information here. I dug it up.
okay,
So he's changed his recommendations a little bit because the last time I looked, it was like
good. $86, please.
yeah. Well, meat, beef, pork, chicken, poultry, other quality meats.
I can handle that.
That's one. Eggs.
I
Uh,
love. I eat a lot of hard boiled eggs lately.
Eggs are as many eggs as you want. Fish, especially an oily, fatty fish like salmon, and avocados.
Mm.
And that's he's and non-starchy green vegetables and full fat dairy. So that's
Spinach is really good. Yeah.
yeah. And and it's interesting. You can go and talk about. I really do not want to do a full carnivore diet, although I will sometimes do that for a week just because. And my body isn't that crazy about doing it. There's some things that it's like which carbs I'm eating. It's like I know which ones will make me gain weight. I know
Okay.
which ones I will just feel good if I'm eating. Like I can eat potatoes all day long.
Hmm.
Well, not all day long. I can't live on them.
I love potatoes,
Yeah.
but
And
you know what?
but I don't have any blood sugar reaction. If I eat rice, I wake up feeling nauseous in the morning.
Huh.
My blood sugar has gotten so unstable.
Well, like diabetes part two is definitely onset and it's caused by habits, but your susceptibility to it can be genetic, right? Some
Well,
people can take it more than others,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Based on their
Some
genetics.
people, some people.
Right. Like I know this guy. I know this guy. I have a friend named Jim who, like, he's 4 years older than me, and the guy just keeps pounding candy bars, and he's just fine. You know, it's like, dude, how do you,
My blood sugar was when I was in my early 40s. It was not that long after I had moved here. I just found a naturopath that was, local, and my blood sugar was high. And same weight that I am now. I was a little bit skinnier, actually.
Yep. Right.
Um, and it's like you can be thin and you're not fat, you know.
No.
It's
Well,
like,
I weighed 260 at one point years ago. I was pretty
oh,
big,
okay, all right, well,
but well, diabetes made me lose weight. But I'll tell you what, in 2021, it all went off at once. It was crazy, but because I was abusing myself, drinking tons of sugary drinks, then just bad.
yeah, yeah. So
Suicide without suicide is what it
You
was.
don't you don't have to be obese to have type 2 diabetes. It's statistically more likely that you will, but you don't have to.
So basically, in a nutshell, I'm going to give you a theory here. We can leave it with this. This will be interesting. What do you think? Um, Basically, we at some point in our history, we figured out we could cultivate sugar,
Yeah.
right, and sell it, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
that was like
we figured out like
1700s.
probably like 3,000, 2,000, maybe 1,000 years ago. I don't know when it was. When did we start figuring that out?
Well, yeah, I
No,
mean,
probably more
it
recently than
got
that,
it
actually.
got big in the
In this
Victorian
country,
era because there was a lot of free time and people had more free time and they were like, "Ooh, what kind of fancy desserts can we
so
make?"
it's a 20th century development,
It really well 20
kind of.
19th century, 19th.
Well, 19th century development, and it really
Yeah.
expanded in the 20th century.
Yeah.
Okay, so that screwed us health wise.
Mhm.
So I have a theory for you. I know
Okay.
you're not going to agree with me on this one. So
Okay.
we did the same thing with meat 20,000 years ago.
No.
Yeah, I know
Do
it's true. I feel like it's true. Like I think that we were naturally inclined to eat more vegetables than meat. I know you don't agree with me. Like again, we don't have the sharp teeth. We don't have the instincts to grab up. Like I know, I don't think omnivores really exist. I don't think there's and only omnivores only exist through habit, through thought process, not naturally.
Audience, do not listen to this man. Don't listen to
I'm not saying that we haven't evolved to the point where we depend on meat. We're become meat eaters. I'm not saying we're not there now. So my theory goes back 20,000 years. I think at
him.
some point we started off. Here's my theory. Let me finish it. We started off in the temp. We started off in the beginning of human history in
What
Africa,
do you
right
think
around
the
the.
beginning of human history was,
It
Jason?
goes back 2 million years. We have human DNA from 2,000 million years ago, I believe. Now, another thing is, we
It's
started off in the tropics. We start our earliest DNA is found in Africa, in Asia, and around the equator, which is where the growing season is all year long. But over time, as we conquered the world over the animals and became more expansive, we got into temperate climates. And at some point, we got caught with our pants down in the cold with nothing, no food. We had to figure out what to do. Eventually, we figured out if we take meat, which you cannot just grab and eat out of an animal easily, you have to put spices on it to make it edible and roast it and do all the shit to it to make it better to eat, really. But we figured out by absolute force we had to start eating meat, and that's how it started. That's my theory. And we've evolved now to become meat eaters. So I'm not saying we're not meat eaters now. We're omnivores, obviously, but because of habit, not because we were originally not that.
do,
But I'm
do
talking way back though.
you know that cooking meat for we started out as scavengers, and I believe that was Homo habilis.
Yeah.
And they started out as scavengers, and then Homo erectus discovered fire and started. That was so Homo habilis discovered. I
Well,
started
what did we scavenge when we
scavenging.
were
Well, you
not
would buy
meat?
some. Yeah, it wouldn't have been the good stuff. It would have just
Nuts and
been some
berries and whatever we could find, right?
whatever we could find. Yeah, that was so we started
Not meat,
scavenging.
not necessarily meat. In order to get meat, you have to
No,
reach out.
no, I mean scavenging meat specifically.
Oh, you mean like hyenas?
Yeah, like hyenas. Yeah, like
We were
so
hyenas.
we did not get the nutrient rich organ meat because that got eaten first. So
Okay.
we weren't getting that. So then at about 1.9 million years ago, so it's like we're still talking millions of years. So it's okay. So you went back 2 million. I'm like, I'm going with our evolution.
1.92, we're pretty close there with the.
Well, no, I'm talking we our first upright ancestor was 4 million years ago.
Okay, okay, I
Yeah,
see. All right,
that's how far back I was going. Uh,
okay. Us too, but okay.
so 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus discovered fire and started cooking meat, and there's a considerable theory there that that's what made us smarter, that we started cooking and eating meat. And we've been eating meat
So
up until about 10,000 years ago. That was the majority of our diet. That's 2
is
million
cooked
years
is cooked meat can they link scientifically today cooked meat with better brain functioning?
Yeah, yeah, that's the theory. That's
We'll cook up
actually
some steaks tonight.
yeah. Well, that's that they believe that is the working theory, is that that's when we started getting smarter, is when we started eating cooked meat, because
Interesting. That is
cooking
definitely a theory. That's a theory anyway. Interesting. Okay, well, but maybe there was a backlash to that though. We got smarter, but our digestive system is like, oh man, how are we going to handle this? And
um
it led to problems over time.
I don't know what problems you're talking about, dude.
I don't know. I'm gonna send you that book. Tell me what you think.
I will sure.
It was made by a bunch of doctors, a bunch of PhDs. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. And I read PhDs too. So are your doctors better than my doctors?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I couldn't tell
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
But hey, are we there?
I think we're there. I
Okay.
think we're there. I hope this has been entertaining for our
I think
audience.
it's been a good show. We've got a couple lot of topics.
We bounced around a lot. So and yeah, so
I'm
tomorrow
gonna get better.
I will be releasing another episode of Connecticut's Make Connecticut Healthy Again. And so just we'll figure out, you can decide if you want to watch it or not. But
No, you should definitely watch it. It's definitely worthwhile. And eventually, we're gonna once we get things going, that'll be like, you're gonna be our main anchor, like our main
oh,
news
awesome.
anchor every
Not
night,
my
and
first
then
time.
then you can have another side show, the Maha Show, all about the health and the nutrition and all that.
Right. So,
We're gonna cover it all.
right. Why don't you take us out, Jason?
All right. If you're a journalist, before we go, if you're a journalist and you want to get into good journalism work, we are going to be offering jobs. That's right, jobs. So with that, it's been a great show. It's time to go get some hard-boiled eggs,
Wait,
and some yogurt maybe.
I have some salmon for dinner.
All
Leftover.
right, good deal.
All
I'm
right.
making steak after what you just told me. But anyway, have a great night, everybody. God bless Connecticut. God bless America. Bye now.
Bye bye, everybody.